Hi, everybody, and welcome to Be in the Know, Table Games and More. I'm your host, Benny Mancino, better known as the B-Man, and I'm very excited tonight to have two of the giants in the table games industry. This is crazy, man. We did do a episode about a year ago, guys, what's called East Meets West, but now West meets West. These guys are both on the West Coast and run two of the biggest properties out there. Paul Mollo from Pachanga, Ron Gordon from the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas. Welcome to Be in the Know.
All right.
Be
Thanks,
here.
Benny. Appreciate it.
So, guys, I needed brain power for tonight's topic. I travel a lot, and I've been doing a little bit of consulting here on the side, and everybody seems to want to turn their floor staff into floor people of 1990, 1980. And I try to explain to them, I don't think that person's around anymore. The drive to become better and become, when I started, I wanted to be a floor person, and then I wanted to be a pit manager, and then I wanted to be an assistant shift. And I just kept driving and driving and punching. And all the guys around me were driving and punching. And some places, it took a long time to get to that point. You may get passed over 10 times. I always tell the stupid story about when I walked in the Mirage with 8 years crap stealing experience, and they told me, come back when you have 10. Now they got people there dealing with 3 months experience in the crap table. So it's crazy. So finding good staff is hard. Would you guys agree?
Oh, 100%.
And
Yes.
now you got properties that are asking supervisors to watch 8, maybe 12 games. And it's almost made the job impossible, no more than a clerk. I mean, things that we used to do, protection and knowing where our rack stood and a little bit of customer service, it's all went by the wayside. And the training for these supervisors, usually it's nothing more than the mandatory HR training or regulatory training that has to be done. And if they're lucky at best, they'll get 2 days of shadowing on the floor. And most of the people who end up being these floor people are these, uh, guys or gals who like to dress up and look good, and they go on to be your supervisors, right? I can't wait to hear your story, Paul, because you're there in the go for your own casino, and I would think getting supervisors would be crazy. So this ultimately leads to poor customer service, uh, virtually no protection at the ground level. So am I way off on this analogy, guys, or
Yeah,
is there
you're
some
right on the
truth to
money.
it? So what are you experiencing in California, Paul?
Well, it's scary, man. I mean, like you said, we have a keep your own process per dealer. So the dealers make a good amount of money. They make probably 2 or 3 times what a floor person's making. So it is tough. I have I've been here 3 years and I still haven't completely filled my floor position. I still have plenty to go. I think I'm like negative 20 something.
Wow.
Yeah, you just can't. It's tough, and we've made adjustments to compensation to get to the correct market and try to attract these people. But man, it's tough. And then compound it like you said. I mean, there's just it doesn't seem there that work ethic of yesteryear of the training and the procedures and sticking to those things. And I'm constantly working with that, trying to get people up to speed. But I would say consistent ongoing training is super important in that area. You know, uh,
And I know you and Patty work on that consistently, trying to come up with new programs. But give me an idea. What do you have any tricks for motivating these people? I mean, like you said, they got people, they're watching people making, I don't know, I'm just taking shooting a figure out there, $20,000 more than they do a year.
and
Is there a trick or is there something you can come up with to motivate these people to want to go on and, everybody wants to be Paul Mullo. How can you instill that in this new generation?
it's tough, man. I mean, I've added them into the bonus pool to try to get a little extra money for them and to try to give them some incentives. I gave them some preferred parking, those types of things. Just little perks that kind of go a long ways, freebies. Constantly trying to hold training classes and get the bench strength up, and they enjoy that too. They like, different training classes that they can learn something at. But it's a struggle, man. It's
I love the idea of the revenue share or some kind of stretch bonusing to put some skin in the game. Anytime it seems like you put some skin in the game, you raise that level of person wanting to take it to the next level. How about you, Ron? What were you seeing at the Las Vegas?
Well, I think it all starts with me. You know, first allowing the supervisors to be more involved in the business. And that's what I try to do to sort of motivate them to want more. At the end of the day, I remember when we were doing this, we weren't doing it trying to get an extra dollar more than the next person. We were doing it to try and get to that next level, right? And to do that, you have to have the knowledge, in my opinion, right? And so that's the angle that I go. I try to give them an addition. I let them be a part of the hiring process. I let them be a part of the talent evaluation process and the 30, 60, 80-day evaluation period. I let the dual pits and the floor supervisors. Floor supervisors are the ones who are auditioning all of the new talent that's coming in the door, all of the new dealers. Pit managers are dual pit managers, and pit managers are the ones that are doing the interviews for the new and upcoming floor supervisors. But at the end of the day, it starts with I hate to say it, the old heads, which is like me. I call myself an old head. that continually talks to them about, okay, so why would you think about, running somebody down? What are some things that you should be looking at? What are those key things? And when those instances come up, when you can have that teaching moment, I think that those are invaluable and, sometimes lost, if you go just too fast. I remember when I was coming up and they said, oh, yeah, you'll get there when you get a couple more years under your belt. Oh, yeah, next year, maybe a couple more years, 3, 4 more years. Well, I think I'm at that 3, 4 more years now. It's 30 years later. But I think it's important that, those teachable moments and those moments that to say, hey, listen, first of all, you got to find that gym, that person who wants to be, something other than a floor supervisor. Because some folks don't want to, and that's okay, but you have to find those and then you have to invest your time in those. So that's what I've been doing, trying to give them skin in the game, not necessarily monetary skin in the game, but skin in making decisions that affect what they are dealing with on a daily basis.
Oh, that's good stuff. And now here again, you're running a property that's in a whole different pool than like a Mollo. You guys have a one-hit wonder. You got Pachanga there. You've got all sorts of other properties that you can leave some carrots out there. Here, you got shot to go to Mississippi and be a ship manager. You got this or that. You got that there. So you got a little bit of an advantage there. You go to some of these other properties too, and you'll find out when you look at their P&L, look at the line item for training, there's no money there. There's no money set aside for training. And, it's scary,
Yeah.
it's just that, when the training happens, you have an incident and then there's a reactive training instead of getting these people and say, and you know what? People like training. It's funny thing too, and you kind of got to trick them a little bit. I could easily go in front of anybody else and do a protection training or optimization training or something like that. But at my own property, I will never do that. I'll bring in Bill Zender or I'll bring somebody else besides myself because that they think it's a benefit that you'll go out and bring somebody in to train them. If you train them, they feel it's a task or
Yeah.
some kind of obligation you're put on. So there's all sorts of things you almost got to trick them into being better. And how about you, Paul? Do you don't have the carrots that Ron does?
Yeah, I mean, our the pool of people that we grab, I mean, isn't as vast as obviously Las Vegas, but we struggle to fill that position, but Yeah, it's just not easy, man. I mean, we actively recruit, and we're constantly doing it. It hasn't stopped. You probably go on our website and see it, but
And I see plenty of places just throwing, the company I work for now is opening a new property, and we've got sign-on bonuses and all, and
mhm.
it just don't matter. If,
I tried that.
and
I
it
did the
just
sign-on bonus.
don't seem it did was kind of had a little bit of leverage there back right when pandemic, and you were trying to push people in the door, but now it just seems to have lost its, either they want to be with you or they don't. So let's look towards the future. Do you guys see technology replacing some of the functions of a supervisor? I've seen some really cool stuff like that. I've worked with a few guys that are working on not only bet recognition, which I think is a real slippery slope. I don't know if it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. People's wanted that forever, but now the same people that were doing bet recognition are doing card and pay table recognition and stuff like that, to where you don't need anybody to watch the actual layout, even your surveillance, because it will tell you the minute a dealer makes mistakes. So you see stuff like that coming up with all the AI and stuff we're looking at.
I see. I got to talk to that really quickly. There's a company out there. It was like I think 2 years ago at the Global Game Protection Conference that we attend. There was a company, AASKI, and it's kind of like eye in the sky, but kind of blended into one word. And they had that AI, they had that card recognition program that could understand, what the count was, what the running and true count was, and alert you. And then they added in the bets, so it has bet recognition, card recognition, and man, it's intuitive. It works, and we've been working with that company to kind of put that into our surveillance systems and to assist us. But I'll tell you, we got an amazing surveillance department here. They do a really good job. But you're right. I mean, as we go further into this, it's scary. I mean, what about Google glasses with this type of technology? Or, what are you going to do? I mean, we always say, oh, no cell phones on the table. Yeah, we're way beyond that with the cameras and all the other stuff that's out there. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's scary.
What do you think, Ron? I mean, MGM, they into the technology?
No, I agree. You talk about bet rec and you talk about card rec, but you throw RFID in there and that type of technology, you know exactly what's going on the table. Does a floor supervisor even have to watch the game? They don't even have to watch the game because the game deals itself. Well, the dealer deals the game, but all of the rating is done by the system. A floor supervisor doesn't even not. Here, I'll give you an example of what I mean. Chips in and chips out. Back in the day, that was a no-go. We knew better than to do chips in. You
Yep.
couldn't be chips in and chips out. Now they're doing it on the visual limit signs, right? So so multiply that by 10 when you're talking about all this, RFID and bet rec and card recognition and all the different things that are now coming into play. The floor supervisor literally doesn't even have to log a player in. The dealer does it. Swipe, here you go, and it begins rating them right there.
Yeah,
Exactly. So do you want to be exactly right on the rating? I tell you what, it's probably going to be more beneficial to the casino because now your ratings are exactly what they are. So your reinvestment is exactly what it is. 9 times out of 10 going to be less than what you would do if you had a human being doing it, right? So
agreed. Mhm.
so the technology, yeah, the direction that we're going, it ideally, probably if you look in 10 years from now, I don't know what it looks like, honestly, for a floor supervisor position.
It's,
Yeah, agreed.
it's interesting when we talk about technology. I had a post there. I can't remember if it was the one about the how the value of a great dealer, because really a great dealer is worth a lot of money to you, right?
Hmm.
The difference between a horrible dealer, a customer service dealer, and a not just customer service, but a real clerk that can get around the layout, they're worth 6, 7 figures. I mean, it depending on how big the property is. And we were talking, the conversation moved towards time and motion and, pace and that. And Ari brought up that, in some of the casinos in Macau, they allow buy-ins at the cage. And, he could see that some place down the road, maybe we don't have no buy-ins at all at the tables. What do you
We do
guys
that.
think of that?
We do buy-ins at the cage
You
all the
do?
time. Yeah, constantly.
Why not just totally
Well,
eliminate
I,
it from the tables?
yeah, I think I don't know how that would go. I guess you could do anything, right? Once you get used to it, that's what players are used to going. I got to go. If I know if I want to get in action, I got to go to the cage, buy my chips, and go get in action. But is that more convenient? Do you lose? How many hands do you lose in that line that you're waiting for all your players to get their chips? You know what I mean? I don't think that's for me. I don't think it's realistic. I think that it's the quicker that you can get a person in action, the better for you.
Agreed. And yeah, I mean, there's probably going to be virtual wallets and all that other stuff in the future too, right?
Yeah.
If we can get that technology correct, but it's a good point.
When I
And
was in Philly,
and
I'm sorry, Rod. When I was in Philly, I seen all these buy-ins with these paper bags and stuff like that took 20, 30 minutes, and
yeah,
all the rest of the players on the game are just waiting. So I think it's got some merit, but I don't know. Maybe like Macau does it. They don't force everybody to buy in on the table, but they have buy-in tables and you can buy chips at the cage. I think it's something we need to think about.
Yeah,
yeah. I
we
think that you
should.
should have the option. I really do. I think you should have the option. But back what Paul said, I think that if you say you're trying to go to technology side and you go with the virtual wallet, but the card, then now you stop that buying at the table. So you should be able to do both probably.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think you keep all options on the table, but hey, man, if the player's buying in 100,000, 200,000 here, they're going to the cage, and we
Yeah.
can do it very efficiently. Count that money and get them chips in their hand, and or just put it on the front money, and let them draw it. But yeah, it's I kind of see where you're going. Um,
Yeah, it's about the same here, and I do you do get those paper bag, and it's got 20 grand in it in 20s.
Nah, oh, man,
So do
do
you
it.
think what would so let's vote on this. Do you think in the year 2034 will most of the supervisor's duties already be automated by AI?
I would say yes. I would say
Um,
80%.
I think most of the duties, yes. I mean, but how do you do the marker? Do you have the dealer doing the markers? You need some sort of separation and responsibility, some sort of integrity. I mean, you got surveillance, but you don't have surveillance on every single table. Maybe in 2034 you do. I don't know. But there are certain things that you still have to be able to do. And I believe that you have to be, and selfishly I'm saying this, of course, that you have to have a human being doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Plus disputes. Let's not forget that. I mean, you have AI can pick it up, but who's going to interject and fix that issue?
Yeah.
So you're going to need that floor person. But yeah,
I
I
think
was in Paris last weekend, man. I mean, I hate to bring up their name, but man, they had like one floor person, I think, for like 8 tables. I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
buying for 500 takes forever.
Planet,
Yeah.
I've seen 12. I've seen a guy watch
Yeah.
12 at Planet at
Wow.
one time. Is crazy.
Yeah,
They
But
had them watching 12 in Ohio, I believe.
it's it's
crazy.
it's going to be an interesting decade. It really is. I mean, we've got to do something. Everybody doesn't seem to be able to staff up properly,
Hmm.
and there's going to be a lot of changes. A few weeks, I'm going to be doing a B&O with John Conley from Interblock. They've got a
Yeah.
pretty interesting concept with a smart pit, and we're going to be discussing some of the pros and cons of the smart pit. So that's pretty exciting. Ron, well, I got you on here. How's Vegas?
Vegas is great, man. It took me, a little bit to sort of uh, adjust to, being in the region for all over. I've been in north, south, east, and now west. But Vegas is great. The team here is outstanding. Um, good to be close to our corporate COEs, which we call the Center of Excellence. Good to be close to them and be able to have those conversations. Hey, call them over, have lunch with them, go over and have lunch with them. So those types of things are really beneficial. But yeah, man, great. Um, it's the Mecca. Love it.
Have you had any of them conversations? This seems to happen. And Paul, I'm sure you know, you've been east to west coast. You get that conversation where that guy comes up to you. You know, Ron, when you first came here, I thought you were up, but you know what? You're all right, man.
Well, you know what? I hope that I came across initially the same way that I always have, as trying to be, approachable, trying to be respectful of everyone, regardless of what position they are in. I think that everyone is important here. And I believe that all of us are the same, right? We just have different roles within the casino. So I try to make sure that I don't forget that, you know what, I used to pick them up and put them down, the size into it, so I try to keep that in mind. And, I never forget where I come from.
I got my apron sitting in my office hanging from my bulletin board, from where I was at the Silver City in Las Vegas, the only smokeless casino at that time. Anyway, so yeah, that's Paul. You're couple of weeks from now, you're going to be the hostess with the mostest,
the
MCist with for the table games and global. Wait a minute, global table games and protection conference. Am I right?
Yeah, I think that's it. It's a mouthful.
It is. But, shorten that up a little bit.
I look forward to it, man. It's going to be. It's always each year it just seems to grow and grow. So there's so many topics, and this AI, if you remember, was a huge topic, but that can only continue to get worse for us. Sorry, my outlook in the next 10 years. It's not going to be easy to run table games.
I posted today that there's two great conferences coming up. Willie Allison's got the the World Game Protection coming up. Got Zender there. You got Elliot Jacobson there. Richard's conference is so packed I can't even name all the people. And if somebody's sitting there behind the desk, a COO or CEO or CFO, and they're not penciling some people in to go to these conferences, they're doing themselves a disservice, because this is where you breed that person who wants to be the next Paul Mollo or whatever. And you don't have to be Paul Mollo. It has to be the guys below Paul Mollo to get them invigorated and really get them excited about the business. And those conferences usually only happen once a year. G2E is a great event and everything, but there's no learning at G2E. G2E is just, it's a lot of work. I know it's a lot of work for me.
Yeah.
So any final words, Ron G?
I would say that AI we should think of it as a good thing. I can tell you that at the end of the day, we're always striving to be better. So I believe that all of our responsibilities at every level in the gaming will change, and we will if it's turning on the AI equipment and monitoring the AI equipment, our responsibilities will change, and I think everybody will be all right. We'll just have different responsibilities. So I think everything will be okay 10 years from now, 20 years from now, even. It's just a different perspective on how we look at it.
How about you, Mal? What about iGaming? Do you guys? iGaming seems to be taking a bite in the jurisdictions. Well, look at New Jersey's numbers. New Jersey outperformed Pennsylvania, which is unbelievable, but 80% of the revenue came from iGaming. Do you see iGaming as a threat to the brick and mortars?
I do. I downloaded the Hard Rock app when I was in Florida, the Hard Rock Bet, they call it. And man, it is just an amazing app. I love it. It's intuitive. It's easy to use. And you know what? I can do all my expendable money here on this thing. And that, if I lose, I'm not going to be, driving a trip into a casino because I just
Yeah.
spent it on this device, and so it definitely is going to take a bite.
Yeah.
Ron, I mean, I know it's probably hard. I don't think there's no iGaming at all in Las Vegas. They do have sports apps, but they like in Pennsylvania here where I'm at, a guy can go on MGM, Caesars, Bally's, Bet Rivers, and they can play 10-cent single zero roulette.
That's crazy.
Wow. Wow.
That's kind of hard to compete with. I mean, I can't afford to put a dealer in front of a game, spin a ball on single zero. I just can't.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. So that's another part of this next decade. And I'm telling you what, I'm excited to see what's going to go on, but I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a little crazy. And the B man's a little crazy, so anything that's crazy, I'm into, man. So let's go. Let's fire it up. So guys, thank you so much for joining me for this, and we'll probably check back with you again and see if there's any kind of progress or something new comes up. You guys are the guys I'm going to want to talk to about it because you guys are like up there in royalty, man. I mean, we're talking about the kings of table games. So
That's Paul Mollo. He's the royalty.
Oh, it's that guy. Yeah, not me, man.
So remember, if you want to find out anything about table games or casinos, you got to be in the know. And you got to do that by hitting the subscribe button below. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your mother, reshare, whatever you have to do. Because B-Man's growing. I hit a 1,150 subscribers yesterday. And
Nice.
over the last 2 months, the channel grew by like 400 people. So I don't know what I did. I did have this crazy post I put on LinkedIn a couple weeks ago about the smartest or dumbest casino in Las Vegas. It was about Durango opening up with no shufflers. And oh my God, it got like 21,000 views, and there was the comments were crazy. And I just got to keep thinking these things up. We're going to grow. We're going to grow. So guys, thanks again for being on the show. We'll catch you on the next Be in the Know.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Benny. Appreciate it.